Hello and welcome to episode 356 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. And join me as always is the glorious League Freak, who you can also find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
Pretty good, Andrew. How have you been?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's been a bit of a quiet week in Rugby League. Not.
Yeah, I know, right? We take a few days off and all of a sudden all sorts of stuff happens.
It's a good thing we're here to break it all down for you all.
Yeah, when we break it down in real world conditions, not the fantasy conditions that the mainstream media intends on pushing forward. They live in the bloody Chronicles of Narnia. Maybe we should call this episode the Chronicles of Nineia because they are off their fucking chops at the moment.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive into that. So, it looks like the NRL's settled on another TV rights deal?
Yeah, so it looks like the reports are at the moment, and you've got to be careful because the reports are put out by Channel 9. I actually read a article by The Age that said it started something with Giant Corporation 9 Entertainment. You know, you've got to keep in mind that Channel 9 owns The Age. And then it only mentions that about halfway down in the article.
I was going to say, did they talk about how big all of the executives' penises were?
They just stopped short at that.
And
it goes through like, you know, just talking up Channel 9 and all this stuff. But it looks like that the NRL is going to get... Oh, the other thing that was funny, it was like secret negotiations between the two parties have been revealed by an anonymous source. And it's like, they're with you. What are you talking about, anonymous source? Like, these people are just fucking goofballs, you know?
They have.
They're just goofy, like...
Secret negotiations.
No one else knows how goofy they are. It's so funny.
Secret negotiations in the media, the mainstream media. Yeah. Secrets. Revealed. Anonymous. Secret. Within our company.
Secret negotiations I've been holding have been revealed by an anonymous source. So it looks like Channel 9 is going to do a deal with the NRL for around about $115 million a year for, I believe it's 4 years. That's a pretty good deal in terms of money, but these deals are rarely just money. There's normally a component of that is broken down to advertising. So they'll say for instance, $20 million of it may be advertising time on Channel 9, which I remember watching a few years ago and seeing a Rugby League Nines. Oh no, it was the NRL kickoff advert at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and I thought, yeah, that'll bring in the punters. And it was one of the years when they were doing like all the kids play rugby league things. So it was really aimed at children. Yeah, so 3:30 a.m. that was good. But $115 million a year. I can't remember if that's high or low than what they're currently getting, but I know that the first figure that was put out was around $85 million, and that was about a month and a half, 2 months ago, put out by Channel 9, of course. So you know...
Essentially, they've put out a lowball offer.
Yeah.
And then they've revealed it's much higher. I wonder if that was done knowing fully knowing that the figure that they've released, recently is the actual figure they're always going to do. But they put out the lowball figure, and it's like, we're doing this PVL to make you look good, and in return, we want you to bend over for us.
There's that possibility because, it's not a real negotiation tactic. Like, if you went into negotiations and they said, well, I read in the media that it was the going rate is like 85, you'd just be like, I don't care. We're not negotiating through the media, you fucking idiot.
That's right. It's a really, I was going to say awkward. I think a better word is fucking stupid way of doing a negotiation.
Yes.
Yeah. But I dare say we'll get the meat and potatoes of that very soon. I mean, we've already the NRL's already done, half the legwork for the NRL by scrapping their own digital arm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And hasn't that proven already to be great?
Absolute masterstroke.
The trash we're seeing coming out, this is the off season, and it's just trash. Like I saw a list, I think it was Fox Sports put out the 5 coaches under pressure in 2022. We haven't played a game. Like all of those coaches could potentially win the premiership next year, right? It's very unlikely, but they could. But we're already judging them, and it's like, you fucking idiots.
The thing I found most fascinating by it is the fact that obviously Michael Maguire's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And I thought, how's that for you, hey? They spent all this year doing everything they can to get him sacked. And when it failed and the Tigers re-signed him, they've gone, we'll just have a crack next year. You just know that that's now their plaything. They're going to be running with, Maguire's on his last chance articles for as long as they can until they get him sacked. That's their aim. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're going to keep doing. The thing that's, because I tweeted about that, and I found a number of responses around that tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Also very, very important was that Ricky Stewart's not on that list anywhere.
Yeah, and I saw somebody on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was. I'm very sorry, but they were saying people don't understand how powerful Ricky Stewart is at the Canberra Raiders club, and that's why he's not on the list. But I'm looking at the Raiders, and we've talked about this now for 2 or 3 seasons, where they haven't improved. Ricky Stewart settled on something he thought worked, and it failed miserably. I'd be kind of shocked if the Raiders made the finals next year, and that's a pretty big fall for a team that was in the grand final in 2019. So he's got to be under pressure. Look, they're all under pressure. If your name isn't, Craig Bellamy or Ivan Cleary, you're under pressure.
Or Wayne Bennett, because, let's be honest, the media were telling us for a good week or two that Wayne Bennett was going to be the coach of the new expansion Brisbane team before Wayne Bennett got a chance to step inside the Leafs club and actually put forward his claim for the job.
Well, you know what I was thinking this week? If Wayne Bennett either decides to retire, like just say he goes in and they say, we would like you here for this many years, and he says, I'm not committing for that long, or they say, we'll give you this much money, and he says, that's not enough, and for whatever reason he decides to not do that job, do you go to Michael Maguire?
Absolutely.
And save him, yeah. That Jeff Tuvey's another one I would look at, but Michael Maguire, I reckon you'd get in a second.
It's I'd definitely get Maguire on board. No questions asked.
Yeah,
no questions asked. I just found a tweet talking about the TV rights deal we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the League Unlimited Twitter account, which says the 2018 to 2022 deal signed in late 2015 with Channel 9 was worth $185 million per season. We're being told now that it's a superb win for Peter V'landys to be pushing them for $120 million a year for the next deal, which is a good $65 million per season less. Even allowing for COVID, is that a win? Because all of the mainstream media types, obviously, have been talking about how great a deal it's been by Peter V'landys that he's, with this TV rights deal.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say, considering that a 17th team has been announced and will be added into the draw in 2023, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this TV rights deal is going to cover that period. I would have assumed, given that, especially that Brisbane is seen to be a huge market for the NRL, that they shouldn't be looking at any discount price. They should be trying to go, at worst, equal with $185 million per season, given COVID.
Yeah, look, I understand that point, right? And I've yet to see a deal that Peter V'landys has signed that wasn't for less money. which makes him a genius on some level. But I would like to know, because the media landscape's really changing, TV ratings are down for everything.
Yeah.
And so I guess that factors into a certain degree.
But if it's down for everything, then surely that's completely factored out.
In what way?
Well, if TV ratings are down everywhere, then you can't really factor that in as a reason not to, stick with the current deal.
Well, the thing,
especially after we gave him a discount already.
Well, opting out of the deal was ridiculous. There was no reason to do that. And I guess the thing I'm saying is, like, if TV ratings for everything on free-to-air TV are down, and they've been down for a few years now, I would guess that means their advertising revenues are also down for free-to-air channels, and that must affect their bottom line, and that's got to affect what price they can attach to something they put on free-to-air TV. Now, at the same time, you look at the streaming rights and everything. They should be going up by a substantial amount, so it should be offset to a certain degree. And there's stuff you can do with streaming that, there's all sorts of adverts. Like, you could put a pop-up on certain streaming things, and, it's going to be annoying. But, if it's streaming on PC, you can click a pop-up off every, 20 minutes in game. That's not too bad. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, longer term or mid-term, I would say instead, where the AFL TV rights go, whether theirs go up or whether they go down. But on face value, it is a big drop, isn't it?
It's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
I was wondering too, if you're Channel 10, do you come along and say, we'll give you 130 million a year?
I was going
to say, just to see what the NRL would do.
Yeah.
Because, you're still getting a discounted rate of 55 million a year less, but it's 10 million more than what Channel 9 are offering.
And what is on Channel 10? There's nothing on Channel 10.
Reality shows. People stuck on islands who we don't care about, usually a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Like, every so often I'll see Channel 10 news.
Haven't they got some island thing at the moment? I know Sam Burgess is on there.
I thought they all had islands.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just they get some of the most detestable fucking idiots in society and they put them all on an island and think that we're going to watch them all be fucking idiots to one another.
Yeah. My understanding is that, like, 85% of free-to-air TV is putting either morons on an island, putting morons through an obstacle course of some kind.
Or pairing them up to get married only to watch the whole thing fall apart.
Yeah, it's called Married at First Sight, and then we're supposed to be shocked when it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Or Farmer Wants a Wife.
No, it should be called Farmer is a Man Slut, because he basically goes on, snogs every chick there, and it's just weird. I don't know. I don't get this. Is why I don't watch.
My problem with Farmer Wants a Wife. Okay, I'm from a predominantly an entirely farming rural region.
Yeah.
And I've not seen one of those farmers yet have as much free time as these young blokes have got. Like, a lot of these farmers that I knew, they got married when they were 20 because they knew, right, that's romance done. Now I've got to work for the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's very strange. That sometimes, like, you will see their farm and it looks a little bit Disney. Looks like a Disney farm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, this is my farm, and they show, like, all green painted, like, wooden fences that surround this farm and stuff. And it's like, I don't think this is a farm.
No. If it's a proper farm, it's got steel picket posts everywhere with a half-assed, incomplete wire fence around it that's fallen down in most parts. Probably got a bit of sheep wool in it with all the sheep that have run through it. There's a shed out the back, a large one, probably about 2 or 3 bays, with just machinery and steel and wood and fucking everything just lying all around it. It's hanging out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Machinery there'd be cars, trucks, utes, motorbikes, all that sort of stuff. They'd be all just littered around the area. you don't see that. It's all far too organised. It looks very staged.
Like they have grass that's been cut by lawnmowers,
Yeah,
but like a lot of it. You know what I mean?
how can you look? This is only a comment to the farmers out there. How are you supposed to run a farm with something that is that well organised?
Yeah.
You just fucking can't. It's just wrong. So that's all wank.
Yes.
But that's what's on Channel 10. So they need some NRL. So they should come out and just say, you know what? Let's stop buying islands and putting dickheads on them. Let's save that cash. Get the NRL.
Well, and look, my question to Channel 10 in particular would be, what are they waiting for? Like they keep on saying, oh, we're going to go with this sport and that sport and that sport. They never pick any sports that are any good. Like I think they have the Big Bash still, and Big Bash is something I have less than zero interest in.
Let's be honest, Big Bash is the shittest form of cricket there is.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah. They've pretty much just said, right, let's take one of the most mentally challenging sports there is and then take the mental challenge out of it.
Yeah.
While we're at it, let's remove all of the skill required to play the game out of it and just let people bowl bounces wides. Who gives a shit? Just let them swing like fucking baseball players and then bring the boundaries in so they can score runs. And that'll be great. You know, it's just dog shit to watch.
Yeah, the thing I don't get about 2020 for the most part is that like the bowlers just turned to shit. Like if you can just get the ball down there, you could probably make a side.
Yeah, it's all just pop gun bullshit. Just spray the fucking ball anywhere you want. The batsman just swings in whatever direction they want. Everything's just a slog.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen a T20 game, which still had skill in it, was the Women's T20 World Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
Because they still played proper cricket shots. And there was proper placement. And it was all, they were bowling like normally. They weren't trying to play some smart-ass reverse flick shots with the bats and stuff like that. And there's a genuinely good game of cricket with actual skill in it.
I've talked about on the podcast how much I love women's rugby league. I've been to women's rugby league matches. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money you would have to pay me to go and see a women's 2020 game?
$5?
No, way more, substantially more.
You'd be surprised. It was pretty good.
I don't doubt that you enjoyed yourself.
I'll tell you what. I reckon you'd need to be paid less to watch the women's T20 game than the men's.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. You could not pay me enough money to watch a men's T20 game.
Could you imagine? Well, you know what I should do? You know what we should do, you and me? Okay. Because obviously I'm going to come down to Melbourne at some point when it's not.
Good luck.
Yeah. Look, I've got trips planned for Western Australia and Melbourne, all right?
Televise, that'll be good. The Channel 10 will put that on their show.
Yeah.
Sydney Sider wants to go to a different state.
What's that show where they chuck him in the middle of the jungle? What's that one called?
Survivor.
Nah, the other one that come from the UK. What's it called? Anyway, back to my original point. We'll go to a women's 2020 game, right?
Yeah.
I will get destroyed, right? I'll get hammered, okay? Right. You got to look after me.
Right.
But at some point, you're allowed to disown me, okay? At some point, you're allowed to say, I don't know who this guy is or why he's saying these terrible things. But you got to bail me out.
Okay, well, we'll obviously have to do that at, say, Flinders Street Station.
Why Flinders Street?
It's full of fucking idiots.
Oh, no, I'm talking about going to the 2020 game. But like,
I'm talking about, I will look after you the whole time we're at the game.
Yeah.
After the game.
Yeah.
If we want to make some sort of scene and want to make this entertaining enough for everybody, then we're going to have to go to Flinders Street Station.
Is that the famous train station?
That's the famous train station that hasn't been watched for 300 years.
Yeah. Oh, it's so famous. It's like, why? When? Who?
It's the only train station that shows how irrelevant it is by having trams run past it.
That's hilarious. Oh shit. Um, yeah. So I'm not a fan of 2020 cricket in particular overall. Do you know the last game of cricket I went to was put it this way, Curtly Ambrose was bowling.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Me and my friend Trevor, we organised a day where we would both get a note to leave school like at about 10 o'clock, and we went to we were supposed to leave the school and walk to Doonside Station, and some fucking idiot at the school saw me leaving and called me into the principal's office, and I'm like, I'm late, you know, and I'm like ready to walk out, just say fuck yous all, like tackle me, you know. And then they worked out that I actually did have a note. So eventually met up with my friend Trevor at the station, and we went to Sydney and watched the test match between Australia and the West Indies. And yeah, Curtly Ambrose was bowling. It was probably just a couple of years past when the West Indies were really, really good, but a lot of their great players were still out there. And as a day, I remember still, it was good. I think we sat in the Doug Walters stand when that was around. I don't think it's around anymore.
Nice. I think the last cricket game I went to was test match at the MCG. What was it, 2 days after Boxing Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember who was playing. 2017 from memory?
Yeah.
Might have been 2018. Yeah. Mate of mine's a member of the Melbourne Cricket Club. So we get to sit in the member stand.
Oh, really? What was that like?
It's fine. You get a lot of. It's funny. You look down at the rest of the stadium where everyone else is, where all the drunken like lower class Victorians are.
Yes.
They're drinking and cheering and carrying on like pork chops. Whereas everyone up in the member stand, they're all from like the upper class areas. So it's just like nice shots.
Oh, really?
But they know not to stand in front of anyone's way, and no one will get up to go to the toilet until the over is finished, because we don't want to impede each other's view.
Remember when we all... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if you go to the toilet in the members area, like in the men's toilet there, you're standing up at the trough, they've got a little window you can look through, so you can look down on the ground outside.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's only like a small window, so no one can see what you're doing, but you can just look out. It's like looking through a letterbox.
I tell you what, I've always wanted to watch David Warner, you know, face up against another bowler while I'm holding my cock.
It's a riveting experience, I must say.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that was done more for the Victorian audience when they're watching AFL. They seem to get really excited about that. But there we go.
Do you reckon? No, sorry.
Censored?
I had self-censor then. Holy shit. That was big self-censor then, Andrew.
Yeah,
I write down a note and tell me to remind you what I was thinking.
I must admit, when I opened that gate down that garden path, I went, yeah, I should shut that gate.
That garden path was almost kicked down. It was almost all over for us.
As I was walking back, slamming that gate shut, you had 1 foot through.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Rugby league, I think.
Yeah, remember when we found out that New South Wales was going to start building some footy stadiums?
Yes.
And it was like, well, you build footy stadiums where you need footy stadiums. But then we found out there was so much involved with the Sydney Cricket Ground members. And it was like, wait a minute. There's a few thousand of these cunts. Why are they being taken into account at all? And they ended up having a pretty big say in how things went.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Probably because they have to spend like $35 billion for their membership every year. So they figure, well, we better let them have a say.
I just think it's funny when you see a bunch of 60-year-old men like wearing their khaki pants and shit trying to run and get the best seats.
It's certainly entertaining. It's actually more entertaining when it gets to the end of the day and they're trying to run to get to a train or a bus, something like that, and they're all just absolutely tanked on light beer.
Light beer. Watered down light beer, too.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
It's basically just shit Adelaide water at that stage.
Yeah. Get more buzz out of Adelaide water. Oh, shit. Anyway, how many other states can we shit on?
We're going well at this stage.
I know, right?
So we spoke about the Redcliffe deal?
Yeah. I think we talked
about that. I can't remember.
I think we talked about that. It might not have been official at the time, but
is it official now, or is it still?
No, it's official now. One interesting. Official. Yeah, it's officially official now. One interesting thing was that. So we might as well talk a little bit about it. They have so far said they're going to be called the Dolphins, and that it seems like they're going to go to people that would be supporters of the club in Brisbane and see what those people want them to be named, whether it's Brisbane, whether it's North Brisbane, whether it's just Redcliffe, which I think is a really smart idea. I think it's a good idea because if you call yourself Redcliffe, you've made a statement of we're staying who we are.
Yeah.
And people that aren't fans of Redcliffe, because this is a club that's been around for 85 years or something, I can see where that would alienate them a little bit. If you call yourself Brisbane, but your current fan base isn't a big fan of that, and the people of Brisbane don't really embrace it, it's a miss. It's a swing and miss. If you call yourself North Brisbane and no one likes it, that's a swing and miss too. So I think it's a smart move for them to do what they're doing.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think for Redcliffe they do actually have quite a storied history with the club, and so when you're a new club coming into the NRL, it's good to have a bit of history to fall back upon. And, they can say, we're the club where Arthur Beetson began his first grade career.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty meaty piece of history you can work upon. And obviously there's a lot of other stuff there, but I'm just talking like there's just one example of something they've got there going for them. The Redcliffe Dolphins is a pretty prominent name too in the rugby league world.
Yeah, exactly. Look, there was a stat that was posted by Channel 9 about a week ago, and I saved it. And it says the Dolphins have produced 32 Queensland rep players and 23 Kangaroos in their history. Like that's a club.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive figures.
Yes.
So I guess for them, obviously we don't know the makeup of what's going to happen to the Redcliffe Dolphins if they're going to have a team in the Queensland Cup. And if they are going to be called the Redcliffe Dolphins while the Redcliffe Dolphins are in the NRL, or is the NRL team going to be called something else?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that stuff they need to figure out. So
and the cool thing is they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So it's good. I hope they come to a consensus pretty quick because that's the sort of thing that you want sorted out and ironed out really fast. So you can get down to actually organising the rest of the club.
Sorry, I'm sorry for I've had too much coffee. That's what it is.
You're excited. That's fine.
I know. I am. I'm really excited. I'm still thinking about David Warner. Don't ask me where I answer. What about the River City Dolphins?
River City. See, the only problem I've got with that is you're making people think about the river in Brisbane, which is basically the inner workings of a toilet S-bend.
That's true.
You don't really want to picture that. Do you really want a brown S? I don't know. See, I'm more inclined to go with North Brisbane or Brisbane North or something like that.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm also not too opposed to them being called, Sunshine Coast or something like that either. As I don't want them, as you said, I don't want them to be pigeonholed to one sort of area.
Yeah.
And I know I said in episodes before, if they were going to put a team on the north side, I'd rather they were based on the Sunshine Coast and not just in Brisbane again, because they can still tap into the Brisbane market. Sunshine Coast not that far away, but then it opens up the whole Sunshine Coast up to Bundaberg essentially at least, and that'll match up with where the North Queensland Cowboys area sort of reaches to, and you're sort of covering a lot more of Queensland that way. But if you just chuck another team in Brisbane, it just seems like that whole region in the middle there is just,
missing. And we say this being the first to say this team isn't our team. They'll call it whatever the fuck they need to call it, and we're just, we don't really know too much. They'll call it what they need to call it. I think that North Brisbane isn't too bad as well. I don't mind Redcliffe as well, and I don't know how the dynamics of Brisbane work too much in regard to how that would work for Greater Brisbane. I've been told that it would be like naming a team after a small suburb in Sydney, which we've done plenty of times. So, that's not too outrageous. Calling
not too bad. I mean, I think Redcliffe's a pretty decent sized place on the northern part of Brisbane.
Mm.
There wouldn't be too many areas that are that much bigger than it on the north side.
Could you call it the Mooloolaba Dolphins?
Oh, that is the Sunshine Coast.
That'd be a cool name, though, hey?
Mooloolaba Dolphins.
Mooloolaba Dolphins. Quick, by the URL, Andrew. Quick, it's your turn.
I'm sure you're all over that one.
No, it's your turn. Get fucked. It's your turn.
I don't know how to do this. I'll leave it to someone who I know how to divide it. Someone experienced in the field. Freaky.
What? How about Brisbane Dolphins? I don't mind.
I think that's a safe one too. You just go with Brisbane Dolphins, and then they're not really pigeonholed to one part of Brisbane.
Anywhere, yeah, and that I think is the safe move. Looking as an outsider who the club isn't for, and I also think that it's something that you could say, look, this is the safest name we can do, and we can have this name for 2 years, 5 years or whatever, and then add North Brisbane, or we could change it to whatever if it isn't working. So, yeah, I tend to think that that's the way they'll end up going. Now, Peter V'landys said today that it was up to...
Hang on, let me sit down. All right.
He said something really profound. He said that it is up to the Brisbane Broncos and the Gold Coast Titans to work really hard to make sure that Western Brisbane was getting the representation it needs in the face of a gigantic, massive, huge push by the AFL to infiltrate that area.
The fuck?
Now, yes. Now, my first thought was, if I said to you that there is a part of Brisbane that needs representation in the NRL, and you said to me, you should expand with another team in Brisbane. And I said, I have. And you said, when? And I said, in the last 24 hours, you should turn around and say, you fucking idiot. Maybe you gave it to the wrong club.
Yeah, if he's worried about Western Brisbane, why put a team in North Brisbane?
Yes.
And why is he worried about the AFL there?
I don't know. He's terrified of the AFL there. Like he
talks about AFL a lot, but it's usually Melbourne AFL.
Yeah.
If anyone's under threat from AFL at the moment, and they're not, it'd be the fucking West Tigers.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you think about all of the money the AFL spent in Sydney, and then if you think of all the money and all of the, and this is just money we're talking about. This doesn't include the salary cap concessions that they make sure these teams are good. And like, remember when there was that Brisbane AFL team that won? I think they won 3 premierships in a row and stuff. And has any of that ever affected rugby league?
No.
Ever? Yeah, it just hasn't.
No. I mean, they're still pouring money into the black hole that's the Gold Coast AFL team. They're still pouring money into the Greater Western Sydney one, which it's been such a success in Western Sydney that they've started playing home games in Canberra because they're close.
And it was funny. I love seeing journalists say, "Oh, it's made an impact," and I'll be like, "No, I actually live here, and I can literally tell you there is zero impact, and the zero impact. They don't exist."
Is it true that in Sydney, the GWS team, their home stadium is called Spotless?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when you're looking at the stadium because there's no people in it.
I know, right?
It's fucking spotless, all right.
It's funny, when they first come in, they did a deal with Blacktown Council where they both spent $10 million each to build like what was supposed to be their training ground. So Blacktown Council, being full of fucking idiots, paid the money. The AFL team immediately moved to Homebush Bay. And now I think they actually further east. I think that they might actually train at Concord or something. Like they're very far east. That team's training base.
To the Greater Western Eastern Sydney, Canberra.
Pretty much, and no one in Sydney calls it Greater Western Sydney. No one. Like,
well, no one in Sydney has said the words Greater Western Sydney. Other than when going through the street directory about 35 years ago when they're looking in the contents.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the Greater Western Sydney region.
Oh, Greater Western Sydney. There's the sort of dumb shit that some idiot that, lives in Bondi would think is, oh, Greater Western Sydney. Yes, you mean everything west of Balmain.
Yeah, well, for them, Glebe is West Sydney.
It really is.
That's the western suburbs. Oh, there's a greater part further west of Glebe? Wow. I might have to go for a holiday out there one day.
Oh, man, people. Hey? But, yeah, Peter V'landys. So Peter V'landys, just hours after expanding the competition further in Brisbane, is still worried about Brisbane, which begs the question, and it's an honest question, does that mean the 18th team should be a Western Brisbane team? Which would be very, very disappointing. And if not them, maybe a Sydney club moves up there.
I don't think we should be having 3 teams in Brisbane.
You don't think it's big enough for 3 teams?
No. The Broncos kind of covers, for me, they kind of cover a southwestern region, just based on, for me anyway, that's based on who's involved in the club and the setting up of it in 87, 88. It just felt more like it was a southwestern Brisbane team more than just a Brisbane overall team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd suggest that the Broncos should pull their finger out and cater to the southwestern part of Brisbane and leave this new team to look after the northern side.
Yeah.
And that should be fine. That would be it. I mean, the Brisbane AFL team was so successful they had to merge many years ago with a Melbourne City team.
Yeah.
In order to, so I don't think they're that much of a threat.
No,
I think the only team that's threatening an NRL team, in the AFL. Oh, sorry, I think the only NRL team that's threatened by AFL is the Melbourne Storm, and even they're holding their own. So
Yeah, they're fine. Like, of all the teams you worry about, Melbourne's probably last on the list. I wonder when we start thinking about a second team in Melbourne. Because it'll happen eventually.
I think the only reason why I'd see a second team in Melbourne is if we've already got one in Perth and Adelaide at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, I'd probably even want a second team in New Zealand before I start looking at a second team in Melbourne.
Yeah, I would think that it's I don't
even know where you'd base a second Melbourne team. Probably in the northern suburbs because there's an awful lot of islanders that are living in the northern suburbs, and they are rugby league fans, obviously. So I'd probably put one in the northern region of Melbourne somewhere, but there's no stadiums in the north. All the stadiums are around the MCG. That's where the Amy Park is, and Dockland Stadium's not far away from there either. So they'll all have to play out the same area anyway.
What about if you based it in Geelong? Would that work?
No.
No, not at all.
No one in Geelong gives a fuck about rugby league.
Yeah, but like you gotta kick the door in. Like this, and this is when we've got all of the other pins on the board.
I know. I think Geelong though is too staunchly AFL. It just wouldn't work. And I don't think the population's there to have a half-assed team hanging around. I just don't think it would work. The northern suburbs of Melbourne are the fastest growing part of Victoria. It's probably one of the fastest growing areas in Australia, to be honest. So it just makes sense. You just put it out here somewhere. There's plenty of land that they can just go, right, let's just build a proper stadium out here, 25,000 seat stadium. They can build one out here anywhere they want. There's plenty of land to do it. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of houses, and it's close to the airport.
And don't they have a soccer team, a new soccer team there?
No idea.
I think there's a soccer team.
I'll ask someone who lives in northern Melbourne. They might know.
I feel like it's for the West, though, the soccer team.
Oh, West.
Yeah. I love thinking about stuff like that. I always have. But like this, I'm thinking of, like, as you say, this when we have Perth, when we've got Adelaide, when we've got PNG. I mean, New Zealand might have 3 teams by then. Like, this is down the track.
Yeah. Yeah. Brisbane's got 17 teams to look after everything Peter V'landys got worried about.
Peter V'landys is walking down the motorway in Brisbane, and he finds a median strip, and he's like, it's not covered. Who is looking after this area?
AFL will take this. He's just walk along every square on every pavement in Brisbane, just writing NRL on every single one of them. Done. Yeah. Done. It's our territory. Putting flags all over the place.
It's interesting that the AFL is at the point where they, like, the next AFL expansion is probably going to be into Tasmania. And then after that, it would have to probably be Darwin. And like, people talked about the AFL's expansion plans and how aggressive they were and stuff. And I think the thing that they forgot was that at some point, there's nowhere else to go for AFL. It is only in Australia. And they had to get on the front foot in that regard, because every other competition every other sport in Australia has the ability to expand beyond Australia's borders and bring in new player bases, bigger TV revenue from overseas and stuff. And that's one of the beauties of rugby league, is that, we've talked about it a million times before on the podcast. PNG, you could bring in, you could probably bring PNG in 2023 as well, and not have any effect on the player base, because just for PNG players that just come in, a second New Zealand team would, I think, have a minimal impact. I think that they'd rely a lot on junior players and things like that. And I think that'd actually make the New Zealand Warriors a better side as well through the competition. And then, like, we've talked about what you could do through the Pacific Islands, and my dream of having a Pacific Islands team that was based in Honolulu. But that's well down the track. We've got areas we can expand to. The AFL areas they can expand to now are not great.
Yeah, I think the AFL made a genuine mistake when they expanded to GWS and the Gold Coast. I think those two options, if they were smart, should have been Hobart and Darwin.
I agree.
Hobart, because rugby league doesn't have a foothold there. It's barely got the game being played there. So that's an entirely AFL market. And Darwin, like the whole of Northern Territory, I think it would go entirely towards AFL or NRL based on who got their foot in there first. And I said before, we've got a huge Aboriginal presence playing rugby league, and that would be an easy team to get set up. You just go, right, we're going to put a team in Darwin, bang. People go on about the population, stuff like that, and I go, you're not trying to get 4 million people to get into a stadium, or 3 million, or 2 million, or 1 million, or half a million. You're trying to get 20,000 people there. And I'm pretty sure Darwin's got at least 20,000 people. Like, you're going to fill a stadium. If you put a 25,000 seat stadium there, you're going to get most of the people. It's going to fill most of the time, especially when you get a lot of local talented players in there. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it a lot easier to get more of these Aboriginal kids who love playing the game, and they're playing both sports. You put rugby league there and say, right, Northern Territory, you've now got an NRL team. They'll just go, fuck AFL.
Yeah.
And you got them. And we know how great they are at playing the game. So many great Aboriginal players have been, elite level Australian Test players. Why wait for AFL to take that opportunity? That's what I've always wondered.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm pretty sure that Darwin has produced NRL talent as well.
Absolutely, they have.
So that I've always felt like with Darwin, you want to be the first sport that gets in there and build your facility, because I think to have a winter sport team there, my feeling is you need to have an indoor stadium for it to properly be what you want it to be. And that's a pretty big investment by the local government there, which is broke, by the way, which is a big problem. But if you can get your facility up and running first, and if you're rugby league, you go in and you say it has to be a rectangle, and none of this multi-sport bullshit. It's got to be a rectangle, and I've always felt like that's the big that is, you got to be there first, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't be an episode of Ferg on the Freak if there wasn't some West Tigers news.
Yeah, some good news. Tell me the good news, Andrew.
Some good news. Well, as we know, Tim Sheens is back at the club.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Based on the tone of the current journalists, I should probably preface that with a yay. Because I talk about the Messiah is back and all that sort of shit. It's also been revealed that he's on $1 million. That
is a lot of money.
Which was that's the money he was on when he got sacked. Kind of coincidental, that.
Well, let's be fair. How much of that $1 million is he going to get? Like, he knows the game.
He's going to get it all. He did that last time.
Oh, shit.
He didn't mind sacrificing anything the club had planned, so long as he got his fucking cash. So that we know where his loyalty lies. The cash, man, the cash. He's they failed at sacking the coach. That's the media and the NRL club as well, because they've got no spine. Because they talked about wanting to change coaches for a little bit, just quietly, not officially. Mm-hmm. But they knew that because they kept doing it, I guess, and they couldn't find someone good enough to replace Maguire in the short term. They figured, well, we might as well just stick with it. So it's a bit of a hesitant thing. And as we saw with an article by Chairman Lee, mm-hmm. that, we've not made any discussions about whether, Michael Maguire should be here in 6 to 8 weeks or not this year.
No, he's not on a 6 to 8 week, deadline at all.
No.
It's just a number that was brought up by Chairman Lee.
Very odd.
But it's not a deadline. Just as long as you know that.
I'm just pulling that number out of a very specific part of my brain.
Yeah, it's not even a number he is giving you. He's just saying. Yeah, it's just not a number.
It's just random.
Yeah.
So the club has decided to sack Adam Hartigan, who was apparently quite pivotal in the signing of Dane Laurie, mm-hmm. Adam Dewey, Stefano Utakamanu, I believe also Luciano Lalua. Probably the 4 best performing West Tigers players of the last 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, he seems like he's part of the problem.
Yeah, he's fucking stupid. So let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
And the person they're bringing back is the bloke who was responsible for most of the West Tigers' worst ever signings.
Mm-hmm.
He's been brought back. One name you mentioned as a great example was Ryan O'Hara. We're talking that sort of region.
Yeah. Well, look, I think loyalty is a wonderful thing, apart from when you're getting a guy to pack his shit and leave. But outside of that, loyalty is a wonderful thing. And, if anybody knows how to rebuild a club in the 1980s, it's Tim Sheens.
The new era.
The new era, turns out it's much like an older era.
Well, as I very wittingly said on Twitter about it, I said the new era has returned.
Yeah, that was a great tweet, by the way. That was brilliant.
It was, I've seen this before, and it wasn't pretty. It was basically a year or two of going, okay, let's see where this works. Hooray, we got a premiership. And then lots of rage, and then, fuck, we got the finals. Oh, we're even better this year. Oh, we're going to make the grand final this year. Nope. and fucking misery for another decade.
Nothing, yeah. The thing that always surprises me about rugby league clubs is that when something needs to change, and almost everyone knows it, and I mean everyone outside the club, when people in the club make a decision to make a change, they always go with somebody that is a known quantity and has been there before. Like, and even the Panthers did it with Phil Gould bringing him back, and the Bulldogs have done it by Phil Gould going there. It's not very often that a club really brings in a fresh person that has no connections, which is really interesting. And I think it shows there's a lot of, I know this person, I've worked with this person before. There's a lot of that goes on in rugby league, and we've always known that. But I just find that interesting.
Yeah, it's. I'm expecting this to go downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, it doesn't feel new. It feels like keeping the course.
Yeah, if anything, going back to an old course that wasn't that great in the first place.
Yeah.
But we won't dwell on that for too much longer because there's more important news, and that is the NRL Premiership Trophy.
Yeah. Big news.
Look, I just want to say, these highly paid men have zero respect for the game. A game that they need, they treat it like shit constantly, with their smug behaviour, their holier-than-thou attitudes. They think the game is something they can just treat like shit for eternity. You'd think that they'd show more love and respect for a game that has given them so much fame and fortune. Way more than they would have ever received if rugby league didn't exist. But no, they treat it with utter contempt. It's about time something was done about it, Freaky, and I've got a drastic solution. It's long overdue. It will solve all of this bullshit for once. Expel them from the comp for good.
Jeez. Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the journos.
Oh, I'm all for it. Let's do this. Bunch of scumbags, aren't they?
Fuck the carry on.
Oh.
The fucking carry on.
And
over a little bit of weld.
You and me called it. We both said it'll be like a part of this trophy that has broken before, and it's just broken again, but we're hearing about it.
I still can't get over the amount of fucking hand-wringing that's gone on over this. It's insane.
So give us the details, because, look, I'm a Panthers fan, so people will think I'm biased if I give the details.
Apparently a small piece of weld where I believe the trophy had been patched up once before had come away. And it only came away because from an actual NRL investigation, take from that what you will, the trophy was on a table while the players were at a restaurant or something, and a lady came up and she wanted to be photographed near or something like that. She accidentally bumped the table and it fell off. Mm. Bear in mind, this trophy is fucking heavy.
Yeah, it's huge.
So you probably wouldn't, if it's not sitting in the right part of the table, and it may not be a great table, if it's sitting in a not quite good spot and that table gets bumped even slightly, that thing can topple over. It'll fucking topple a table over as it goes. So that's pretty much all that's happened. It's a complete and utter accident. Shit happens. And the amount of drama in the media over, the Panthers players, they got no respect for the fucking trophy, and they broke this and they broke that, and blah, 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 and it's just on and on and on. And it had allegations coming up about, Nathan Cleary with coke on his fucking phone.
Yeah. And it turned out it was bubbles in his phone.
All this bullshit, like they're constantly trying to catch him out all the time with just fucking nonsense. I've not seen anything like it before. I can understand that sections of the NRL, and this will happen every year, decide, you know what, a team that's just won the premiership, fuck them, I hate you now because you're so good, I want to beat you. and I'll hate you until you are no longer the premiers. I get that. That's happened to a lot of teams. Fine. But this year, I'm not a Panthers fan. I'm looking at this going, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's just gone way too far.
Yeah,
way too far. Last year we had Brandon Smith getting around drinking beers with a trophy and stuff like that. No one says shit. He's funny. This year, the Panthers players are all smug and disrespectful and going, the fuck are you on about? I can't get over it, man. Someone was telling me about how they were saying that they were disrespecting the trophy by pushing it around in a pram. And I jokingly said, well, if a pram's good enough for little babies to go in, why isn't it okay for a pram? We put our most vulnerable but most treasured humans in them.
Yeah.
How's it disrespectful to put a trophy in there? But I'm saying it as a joke because I think the whole thing's laughable.
It really is. It really is. And the thing that I find weird, like and look, this could be me being a Panthers fan. Are they arrogant and disrespectful? Like a lot of that started out of that Canberra game earlier this year, where Canberra come in to Penrith Footy Stadium. I actually attended it, and they just ended the Raiders season. Like they from there, the Raiders fell apart. They had like one player go home to whatever bumfuck town he was from in Northern England. Their season ended in that game, and that's where the thing of their arrogance started. But I look at them and I'm like, where's the arrogance? Like people say Nathan Cleary's arrogant. I've never seen him be anything other than a gentleman. Like he's one of those players. Like if somebody said, tell me like 5 things about Nathan Cleary away from the football field, I couldn't tell you much about him. He's pretty quiet.
I'll say this, okay? If a player's smug or arrogant, I generally don't give a fuck. It's not newsworthy. Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think the Panthers players are arrogant, but you know what? If they are, they've got every right to be because they're fucking successful.
Yeah.
That's just part of the territory as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the most successful players, they've got an air of arrogance about them. Who gives a shit? Seriously. Is that the worst you can do?
We talked about this with Latrell Mitchell, where we had a conversation where we were like, he doesn't need to make friends. He's not out there to be everyone's, wonderful person. Like if he's going around and he's out there and he is just being himself, or he is just smashing people and stuff. And I'm not making any excuses for what he did in terms of hitting Manu high. I was just talking about in general. Like he doesn't have to go out and try and make friends with everyone. But with this Panthers team, like I'm watching them and I'm not seeing smugness or a poor attitude. I'm seeing young guys that are excited by situations they're in, that they're responsible for being in through what they've done. But it's not like I'm seeing them score tries and give it to the opposition or anything. Like they score tries and they immediately go to the crowd to celebrate the try. I just don't see the arrogance and stuff. And I just think that one of the things I find really funny is there'll be people on Twitter who will say, the media, they're terrible and they don't even like rugby league and blah, blah, blah. And then the media will keep pushing this thing saying, the Panthers are arrogant, the Panthers are arrogant. And the same people on Twitter will be like, the Panthers are arrogant, the Panthers are arrogant. And it's like, you can't say the media hates rugby league or that it reports it terribly and then be a parrot for every stupid fucking thing they say.
Exactly. Fully agree with that. I think what we've got is it's a combination of the media and some bitter, salty fans, probably Tigers fans. Are just trying to find a reason to hate on the Panthers when there's very little to hate about them. They're just a bunch of young, exciting young players that have won a premiership, and they went very close to doing it last year in a almost record-breaking season.
Yeah.
and they've backed it up, and they're proving that they are at the cusp of what could be quite a successful dynasty if they keep their heads down. They're just trying to. There seems to be an awful lot of attempts at gotcha things with the Panthers at the moment. Like something about Nathan Cleary's mates fucking around or something like that in Queensland. People trying to.
That's ridiculous.
People trying to pin shit like that on Nathan Cleary and going, he's in fucking hospital getting a shoulder reconstruction or some bullshit. What the fuck's he supposed to be? What?
Well, and that also comes back to the trophy where, like, as this, it just reaches this crescendo of like they're getting around with the trophy that's smashed in pieces and blah blah blah, and then the very next day the trophy is sitting in Panthers Leagues Club with their other two trophies, and it's completely fine. And it's like, okay, look at it. It's completely fine. And I said to a bunch of people, like I had somebody message me on Twitter and say, oh, I've got family members that weren't happy about it. And I was like, give the family members a hug and then take them to see the trophy and show them it's fine. You know?
Actually, speaking about the trophy, we do have a bit of inside mail here. We'll keep our sources to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But we have it on very good authority that the NRL hasn't actually inscribed the last two premiers on that trophy either.
Yes. We were given the information by somebody that we can't say their name on the podcast, but they inspected the trophy very closely, and the Roosters are not on that trophy, and the Melbourne Storm are not on that trophy. 2019, 2020 premierships have been erased.
Now, if you want to talk about disrespecting the game, why isn't the NRL being criticised for the fact that they haven't done that task?
They've had plenty of time to do it. And
the fact
that their names aren't on the trophy says to me, with no information other than they haven't been engraved yet, salary cap scandals.
Must be.
There's something on the horizon, Andrew.
Would it be for both clubs for both years?
100%.
I feel like I need to go and look at some premiership ladders.
I think I need to buy Panthers back-to-back premiers 2019-2020.com.
2019, if we take Melbourne and the Roosters out of the off the ladder
mm-hmm.
and put them at the bottom,
mm-hmm.
the West Tigers moved from 9th to 7th and Penrith moved from 10th to 8th.
Whoa.
That changes the complexion of the finals altogether because those two teams would obviously make it to the grand final.
That changes history.
It changes history dramatically. 2020, you take Melbourne and Sydney out of there again, and we'll see the Gold Coast Titans move from 9th to 7th, and the Warriors move from 10th to 8th.
Wow.
The Tigers move from 11th to 9th.
This feels like everything is lining up perfectly.
See, the universe is correct there. The only problem with that, though, is if you take those premiership points, all of them, off both teams there, then that means that Brisbane also miss out on getting their first ever wooden spoon, and I'm not quite comfortable on that. Yeah. So maybe we can take 20 premiership points off them so that they both finished above the Broncos, but they don't get anywhere near the finals.
I'm comfortable with that.
I think that's fair.
And so who would be I guess that makes the Raiders the 2019 premiers.
Yeah, and the Panthers in 2020.
I'm comfortable with all that.
There you go.
If you go to Ricky Stewart right now, right, and you say you won the 2019 premiership, does he immediately retire?
No. He immediately goes to the Raiders board and says, well, now that I'm a premiership winning coach of the Raiders, let's put some more zeros on this fucker.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Also changes like this. The list of coaches that have won premierships at two different clubs isn't a long list.
No, that's right. Gets a bit longer then. There you go.
So,
as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Raiders,
okay,
there's been a bit of media going on at the moment about the fact that the new era at the West Tigers looks like they're about to be signing a broken old hooker to come play for them in Josh Hodgson.
Yeah, I saw that. I was, I felt
New
really
era.
disappointed for you. Yeah, the new era. And look, any time that I think that every club is looking for a 31-year-old English hooker that has had knee surgery in recent years. It just tends to be the way forward.
Look, the thing that's so frustrating about this is that the Tigers were making inquiries at the right club for the right position. They're very close, but instead of going and talking to Starling, they went and spoke to Hodgson, and were like, "You fucking idiots."
Yeah. I don't know who Hodgson's manager is, but he gets his name in the media a lot, considering that he's, I think he's detrimental to the Raiders.
It's not Justin Pascoe, is it?
It could be, hey. But, man, I mean, if ever there's a give up move, that's one of those moves that feels like a saving my job move by somebody. Like, in terms of,
Oh, geez, Tim Sheens just pulled that out pretty quick. He's just signed $1 million deal. Quick, better save the job.
It just feels like I brought in a name. You know what I mean? Like, even if he is terrible and they don't win any more games with him or anything, somebody can say, well, I did bring Josh Hodgson to the club.
And Sheens does like the occasional pommy.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
At Hyington.
Yeah.
Ellis.
Yeah, he's a great winger, Ellis. It would be a weird one. They've got the they're bringing in Jackson Hastings for next year to play. I don't know what position really, because he's a halfback, and Brooks is a halfback, and Dewey is probably his best position we've seen is 5'8". So I don't know where Hastings is going to play. And who's the other one? Gildart, I think his name is.
I wouldn't be surprised if they put Hastings at 6 and Dewey at centre, only because Dewey can play centre. Hastings probably can't do it as well. And I don't much like that dynamic, because I want to see Dewey with the ball in the hand in the middle of the field with options left and right, and he's not going to get that if he's parked out on the right-hand side of the field. Just seems stupid. But I just get the feeling that that's the only way they're going to fit him in there, is they do that.
Well, you know what it feels like? It feels like somebody's putting together a team without a fucking plan.
Again.
Yeah.
Again. Gildart, they'll be forced to play him at centre until they realise how just not up to the NRL standard he is.
Just English, yeah. Can't defend for shit outright.
And so...
Fucking turnstile, it'd be like having fucking... What's his name?
James Robertson the side.
Yeah.
Like James Robertson centers. They've signed James Roberts. So if the best scenario we've got at the moment, and it's not a pretty one, is Dewey and Gildart in the centers, Hastings and Brooks are in the halves, Laurie at fullback, and Roberts is on one wing. And my God, that just doesn't fill me with any sort of hope.
Yeah, that feels like a Super League team, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got Laurie and Dewey are the NRL players in that back 7.
Yeah. And look, I'm open to seeing how Jackson Hastings goes. Part of me really likes Jackson Hastings just for the fact that he was at the Roosters, he was the chosen one for a while. For whatever reason, they went off him. He went to Manly and had a fucking issue there, and it seemed like a personality clash, so they got rid of him. And he went over to England, and he got the job done in England. And I want to see how he plays. I'm not judging him. I think it's more a West Tigers thing.
He's also fixed up his personality an awful lot. He's realised that there was a lot of things that he was doing when he was in the NRL that were just not right. And from all reports, he's attended to those issues, and he's a lot more professional now. And that's something that the West Tigers definitely need, is more professionalism. Yeah. And my only issue, and I've said it all along, it's not against Jackson Hastings, it's against the fact that we have a legitimately good 6. We did not need to buy another one. And this is what the West Tigers do. They just go, there's someone available, let's go buy him. Bang. And then they go, oh, where do we put him? And then all of a sudden, we start the reshuffling process. And someone's going to get screwed over, and it's going to be one player, most likely Adam Dewey, and that's going to impact the rest of the club.
Yeah.
And it's just nonsense. The club didn't need to sign Hastings, and it's not because of any criticism of Jackson Hastings. I'm sure he can handle in the NRL. It's the fact that the Tigers is not a club that he needs to go to, because one position that they don't have an issue with is the position he plays.
Unless they're getting rid of Brooks, and they're obviously not doing that. And look, if Jackson Hastings had gone to the Gold Coast Titans, you'd say, you know what, could be a pretty good move, good situation for him there. If he'd gone to the North Queensland Cowboys, you'd say, look, they need a halfback, and he's might as well give him a shot. There's plenty of clubs he would have gone to where he would have said, that's not too bad. For the West Tigers, it really is. It just seems like they just sign whoever they can get, and then they worry about how you make a football team afterwards. It's terrible.
I've had Chairman Lee come out and say that, we plan on having Luke Brooks here until the day he dies, basically. So if they're not going to replace
maybe it was
Brooks,
a threat.
It feels like one.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the moment when I stop whinging about the West Tigers. I just start getting Stockholm syndrome.
Right. Listen, how long is Dane Laurie under contract for?
I think we signed him for 3 years.
Okay, because he would be a really good signing for the Dolphins. A young bloke. We've seen that he's a handy player, and like most decent players or decent people at the West Tigers, I think that if you gave them a phone call, they'd probably answer and say, listen, I don't know what you're going to offer me, but I'm there.
I'll be honest with you. I would not be at all surprised when his contract ends, he goes back to Penrith and they get rid of Dylan Edwards.
Well,
you think he's going to be, 24? And he's going to be experienced and pretty fucking good at that age. I mean, he already is now.
Yeah.
And he'll go to Penrith, and he won't go there demanding huge money. He'll go there to play with his mates. And that's a huge thing. And I think that's where he'll end up going.
Yeah, I'd do that deal in a second. I would do that deal right now. I would. You know what? If I was Penrith, I would. It's hard to do that to a premiership winning fullback. It's just on a personal level. But if I was Penrith, I would try and do that. Could you maybe turn Edwards into a centre?
I'd probably have him as a winger if possible.
Yeah, look, he's physically he just doesn't seem to be up to NRL level.
So the defensive workload of a fullback is more in line with that of a winger and less of that of a centre. Because, he's probably going to make 3 or 4 tackles a game.
Yeah.
You don't want someone who does that. And a lot of those tackles are not done with any great technique. It's all about trying to stop an attacker getting to the try line or trying to stop the ball from getting to the ground. It's not about wrapping the ball up or dominating the tackle. So it's a very different technique. Whereas at centre, it's all about technique. It's all about shutting down sliding plays and stuff like that. I don't think he's got the defensive capability to go from fullback to centre, whereas I think he'd be able to cover wing reasonably well.
Yeah.
And there it's just taking bombs and doing kick returns more often than not, which he's capable of. Barely. I think what Penrith needs, I think that's going to be more suitable to his game, because I don't think he's got the ball playing skills to be a fullback in the modern game. But
could you imagine
fine on the wing?
Laurie behind that Panthers?
Yeah.
Damn. And okay, I've got a question for you. I don't know if we talked about this. So there was a picture of Dane Laurie the night the Panthers won the premiership. He's out in his car in a Panthers jersey, like hanging out of it, celebrating. Now, he had to come out and apologise for it. How did you feel about it? Because I know how I would feel about it.
I didn't give a flying fuck.
Okay.
He's just wearing a jumper. He's having fucking fun with his mates. I don't care. So many Tigers fans got the shit going, how would the fucking sponsors feel? And going, maybe the same way they'd feel about the fact that, they're sponsoring a team that's never playing football this time of year anyway, so they probably don't give a shit.
Sponsors are too busy winning raffles and stuff randomly. I would have been wounded by it on some level, not devastatingly. It would have just been like, I don't like that.
I don't care. Look, this is the thing. I've seen enough footage, both archival video footage and pictures in newspapers and stuff, of rugby league players in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even early 90s, wearing
Yeah.
opposition clothing at
Yeah.
training. I think there's a famous picture that the Magpies took, like a team picture that went up in magazines and stuff like that, in, I'm guessing, 77 or 78.
Mhm.
And they all wore the Magpies jumper, but they didn't all wear the Magpie shorts. They just wore a mishmash of all different team shorts.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make themselves appear like, because they're buying into the whole Fibro Silvertail thing. They kind of wanted to make it look like we're just a ragtag bunch and we can't afford to have our full uniform or some sort of thing like that. And they were really buying into that whole class warfare thing. And that was the perception behind it all. It was very brilliantly done. And it worked to a fucking T. But yeah, you see some of that and I go, no one gave a toss about that. The fact you'd see, rugby league players in the 70s training in other teams' jumpers and stuff like that. No one cared. But a bloke wants to celebrate with a bunch of mates who he played junior footy with, wearing the same jumper as them. I really don't care.
Okay.
It's the sort of thing that today's media works their cocks out over, but it's really a nothing story. Like, dinging a little bit of weld off the trophy.
Yeah,
What
look,
did he do?
it would have wounded me a little bit. I'll say that much because, like, it's, I don't know.
I'll get wounded when he's doing that.
Yeah.
If the Tigers have just been knocked out of the finals and the next week he's doing that. Tigers aren't in the finals. He's been in his off season for 4 fucking weeks. He's had Mad Monday already. He's already started on pre-season training at this stage. That's how out of the contest the Tigers are. People want to get complaining about that? No. Don't sit. I'm going to say this too about West Tigers fans. They'll sit there and talk gloatingly and proudly about their team, and they'll sit there and they'll abuse anyone who takes shit out on their team.
Yeah.
And yet they'll demand that Laurie gets sacked or gets fined or penalised for doing this. You don't have a team to be proud of. Why start trying to invoke some sort of pride upon your players?
Yeah.
When you're proud of your team being mediocre all the time. And the minute I go out there and say, our team is mediocre and they're shit and they need to be better, I get called, oh, I'm just a so-called fan. Hang on. How am I a so-called fan when I want my team to be better? How is that not me showing signs that I care and I want my team to be a better team than they are? As far as I'm concerned, a so-called fan watches their team play like shit for a decade, never makes the finals and goes, I support my team. Yeah, go Tigers. They're great. And going, no, they're not great. They're fucked.
Yeah,
I'm the so-called fan. Fuck off.
Yeah, I never understood that when the Panthers were terrible. And, like, I always felt like as a supporter, you want your team to do better. Like, it doesn't matter how good they are or how bad they are. They've got to do better. And, the people that are happy to be like, well, I'll just support them no matter what, they're really frustrating because there's a lot of people like that. And I understand.
They enable this bullshit.
Exactly. They allow someone like Justin Pascoe to be in a documentary where the team is a fucking mess, and he can honestly stand there and say, oh, I don't really have ups and downs. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you, Justin Pascoe. Write it down. You're the worst thing that's happened to the West Tigers in their entire history. And they were coached by Terry Lamb.
Yeah. They had John Opelati sticking his finger up people's assholes. Pasco's worse than that.
Seriously, it's so frustrating that you get these fucking people that enable others who just do a shit job year after year. It fucking annoys me.
Fans just let them get away with it. Now, we'll get out of something less frustrating for me, but more frustrating for Dragons fans.
Yep.
Because they've just signed Aaron Woods.
Mr. Comfort.
I didn't think that the Dragons had a low point after they decided to part ways with McGregor because he was killing that club. slowly and painfully. He was killing them. They had a great roster, and he made them play like dog shit. I don't know how. I do not know how, but he made them worse.
Kind of impressive.
Yeah. And when they moved on from him, I thought, okay, they're turning a corner here. And you don't expect instant changes and instant success straight away. You know there's going to be a few little rough spots here and there. But the signings that club has made, and some of the departures they've had since McGregor left, you look at it and go, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, they're another one where it's like, what's the plan here? Because somehow, after sacking McGregor, which was a good move, somehow they're older and worse.
Yeah. I don't understand how they've done this. It makes no sense. So they've signed. Who else was that they picked up? There's two other players they all signed in the space of a day. It was Jack Goziewski from Manly and Moses Sully.
Oh yeah, they finally made Sully official. Look, Sully's a handy pickup
when he's away.
He needs to be. He needs the right environment though, and I think he has talked about that himself in the past.
They've also picked up broken George Burgess.
Well, yeah, that I don't understand that one.
Moses Mbai.
And that one's fucking ridiculous.
They're also talking with Murata Niokore, who's not off contract at Parramatta, but he's essentially a bench player at Parramatta. He can play back row and centre. He's a handy enough player, but it's just...
I don't know what anyone would see in Aaron Woods that they say, yes, we want that at our club. We need that. We're missing that. We need to get rid of Sims. But you know what? Aaron Woods, he's what we need more of.
Yeah. They've also got Tortau Moga.
He's always injured. He's always injured.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't get any of this. It's such a horrible, horrible signing spread. It almost makes me happy to be supporting the West Tigers with who they're looking at. I've never seen a team make so many weird signings in one off season.
Yeah, and that's on the back of like getting McCulloch last year, who was old, and I know he played pretty well for them, but
Josh Maguire.
Josh Maguire was the other one. It's like, what are they doing bringing him in? And then, especially when you couple that with the effect, and whether you say it's the right move or the wrong move, the effect of sacking Paul Vaughan on top of all that, they've taken a step back, and a pretty dramatic one too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The way they're going at the moment, they are going to be pushing the West Tigers and the Cowboys for that spoon at the end of the year, and the Bulldogs. Yeah,
100%. I think the Bulldogs will be well away from them three. I think those three are going to battle it out. And
I wouldn't say the Bulldogs will be well away. I do expect them to improve, but they've had so many roster changes in the past 2 years. I expect them to still take another year to gel. I don't think they've got too many roster changes to come for 2023, so they might start settling down at the end of next season. But I do expect them to be off the bottom of the ladder.
I am expecting them to make the finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mate, it's too early for this bullshit. We've already discussed this.
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing?
You keep forgetting Trent Barrett coaches them as well. You forgot the Barrett factor.
There is that. Look, I just think that it's a talent thing. They've got enough talent to get the job done. I know that there are going to be hangovers from their terrible seasons, but I just think that there's going to be some of those teams in the finals are going to fall back, and I expect the Bulldogs to end up being there.
Manly had the talent too when Barrett was there, and the day he left and Des turns up with practically the same squad, he gets them into the finals.
Good point.
Yeah. Just I've just got to keep you grounded on that one.
You do. So sometimes I forget the shit house ability of Trent Barrett, who is a first grade coach just because he spoke it into existence.
That's right. That's pretty much it. He hung around other coaches who knew what they were doing.
So weird.
Hopefully that'll rub off on me.
It's just so weird. Even before he was coaching first grade, I'm like, why is everyone saying this guy's a first grade coach? Like, you can't just say it. And all of the data that we've got says he's not a good first grade coach at all, by any stretch.
No, not even close.
Remember, man, our 21st podcast we did, 21st one, and it was the Trent Barrett one.
Classic, one of our best.
Yeah, we really did a deep dive on that. So if you go to our episode number 21, you'll see our thoughts on Trent Barrett. Yeah.
All right. Well, one last story here that I can think of anyway is during the week. Sadly, the icon, the legend, Norm Provan, the immortal rugby league immortal Norm Provan passed away. Absolute icon of the game, really, and one of the greatest players in the Dragons' history. Mm-hmm. And kind of, he became. I think the one thing for me that isn't really spoken about is how he started to show how important it was to have different sized bodies in the team, because he was very tall, very rangy. Think of, say, like a modern day sort of Luke Lewis sort of player, as far as build is concerned, but taller. Yeah. So he's kind of had the I'm trying to mix him up. So Luke Lewis type style and build, but sort of tall, like Paul Sheridan, for example.
Well, I thought he body type. Yeah, I thought body type may be a Mark Geyer body type.
Like, yeah, that's kind of getting into the area there. Although Geyer was still a bit bulkier than him.
Yeah,
he really was a bit slender.
Yeah, he was a slender dude, but a giant. And like when you watch him in that old footage of him playing for the Dragons, like towered over everyone in performance and height. One of those players that's like when you read accounts from other players, and we've talked about this with Clive Churchill's another player like that, completely revered by opponents, teammates, coaches, everyone, and one of the great gentlemen of the game. It was really sad to hear of his passing during the week, and a literal icon of the game. Took that great. He was part of that great picture that is now on the trophy. So it was so sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah, I actually had the privilege of meeting him several years ago at a NRL function thing, and just an absolute, very humble, gentle bloke. Had all the time in the world to talk to you, and loved talking about rugby league, not about when he played it or whether what era was better or worse. Just liked to talk about rugby league. And you kind of had to sort of pry information out of him about, what he did as a player and the way he played the game. He didn't talk about himself that much. Absolute gentleman, very, very friendly, very, very warm and open. You'd be able to just talk to him so easily. Had all the time in the world for people. Just an absolutely lovely human. Absolutely, just I think I said it online. He's just a gentle soul. Best way to put it. And he is a real icon and treasure of the game. That's been lost for sure. So it's very sad to have that go. A lot of people know of him in modern times just through the banter he has with Arthur Summons. Those two became good mates through just the fact that on the trophy, and they get interviewed every year pretty much because they're on the trophy. But very good banter, and Arthur Summons has got a bit of a shark. Was it a snake's tongue? A bit of bite and a bit of wit about him.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to just like to play on the kindness of Norm an awful lot. Norm knew it, so he played along with it a little bit. But that's an absolutely lovely human. It is very sad to hear that he's passed away.
Yeah, it was, and they were definitely the highlight of the Dally M's when they'd get them up for the Dally M's. You could not watch everything else, but seeing those two at the Dally M Awards and the back and forth between them was, you knew it was special while you were watching it.
Absolutely.
And look, we've talked about him as a man. To go into his accolades and what he achieved in the game as a player coach, and then as a coach, you could do like hours worth of recordings over that. And I think it says a lot about him that we're talking about him as a man and what people thought of him as a man. I think that says it all, and my feeling is that's what he'd be most proud of. That's how people thought of him. It wasn't just, how many trophies he won or grand finals or things like that. Yeah, you think of the loss of him as the person. And yeah, it was very sad. Dementia. He had dementia for the last couple of years, and if you've ever dealt with somebody that's had dementia in your family, it's horrible what it does to someone. It takes them away mentally before they go physically, and man, it's just one of those rotten things. And the world's a worse off place for losing a great man like him, and it's nice to know though that he knows that the game will always remember him in the most amazing way it can.
Yeah, it's also great that he got, he was able to accept the honour of being named an immortal as well in 2018, because that is an honour genuinely befitting him as well.
100%.
Yeah, he's as I said, an absolute icon. There's no other way of putting it. Just a brilliant human all around. So condolences there to Norm and his family. Yeah, bit of a somber way to end the episode. I guess we can find something to talk about to cheer everyone up a bit. Anything else you can think of? Have we had any emails?
I think we did, yeah. Let me open up the website and take a gander.
Wind up the machine.
Yeah, get the hamsters working.
As I said, does the email device, does it have a crank handle?
No, it's actually got a cord. It's got one of the cords like a lawnmower.
Like a lawnmower, you got to rip on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the cord fitted, or do you have to actually wrap it around every time you pull it out?
What the fuck did you just describe? I got it opened anyway.
That's good. It's buying time.
So this one's from Nui Ash, one of our regular listeners. It's always great to hear from Nui Ash. He says, to the panel of experts, of the Rapidos players off contract in 2023, what do you think are the chances that Wayne could lure Latrell Mitchell to the new franchise? Do you think he would relocate? I've been hearing a lot of noise about the Dolphins needing to target a Queenslander as their marquee player. Bullshit. I feel like Latrell is a big personality and a quality player that a new franchise would lap up. Oh man, just pay him in money. You don't have to do that to him. Just like Ponga here at the Knights, for example. Other random ideas. One, if they insist on having a Queensland marquee player, swoop in on Sunshine Coast local Reid Marnie. Give him the captaincy. 2, help out the Cowboys and take an underperforming, he's got in quotation marks, Tamalolo off their hands. 3, go after Harris Tavita and Reece Walsh. Thoughts? Cheers, Ash.
I'll tell you who I'd go after, based on who will be off contract in 2023. Harry Grant. Mm-hmm. And that's a good one right there. Who else could we have a look at there? Brandon Smith. He'd be available. Christian Welch. I'd be going straight to the Melbourne Storm side. Right, who can we get from there? And you don't want to go for the absolute young guns. You want to go for guys who will have had 2 or 3 years at least by now, so they'll be 4 or 5 years into their contract by then. Felice Kafusi, there's another one.
You'd get Felice Kafusi in 2023.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I wouldn't have him this year.
No, I'd get him.
Okay.
Absolutely. You need to get one experienced forward in your side. Even if he just plays off the bench for 25 minutes every week. That's all you need from him. You wouldn't have to pay him big money either. And Melbourne would let him go.
Yeah, I think they would too. I would get. I like Ponga. I'd get Ponga. Harry Grant, he'd be a good signing. I think you'd get Harry Grant. I don't think the Storm would be able to afford what you could offer Harry Grant. So I think you'd get Harry Grant. I think
that Tino Mului, whoever it is at the Titans, he's from just up the road from the Sunshine Coast, the Gympie region. That's near his home, and he's off contract in 2022.
Look, I like him in theory, but he just underperforms too much for me.
I think he'd be really good under Bennett.
Okay. I could. They're going to have to fill out a whole team, so they're not going to all be like great signings. I actually think this is going to be controversial considering what we've talked about in the past. I think we should have an expansion draft for them.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'd say every NRL club, they have their 30-man squads. And I think every club should say they are willing to release 5 players from their squads to the new club if that new club can negotiate a deal with them. So it wouldn't be a normal draft. It's more an opportunity for the new club to have 5 players from each club that are listed out for them that they could have.
That is kind of how the original draft idea was put out. It was only players who were not contracted and who were willing to change clubs.
But these ones would be contracted.
There's going to be plenty of uncontracted players anyway.
There will be. But I think that would be a cool thing for the NRL to do. That just helps that club know that it can have some depth, and I think that that's important because sometimes you'll find that an expansion club in any sport, they will get a couple of marquee players, they'll get a couple of journeymen, and then after that it's pretty rough going. And I think an expansion draft would help to avoid that. And I think that it would be a really, a good club would be able to use it well. Like a smart club doesn't just go, well, who are our 5 worst players? A smart club says, we could get rid of this player whose contract is costing us too much compared to what their performance is. So you'd get someone like a Moses Mbai. He'd be the first person you'd put on your expansion list. And so there's opportunities there for NRL clubs to get out from bad deals that they've done as well. But that is...
And fill an expansion team with a bunch of shit players.
Well, that's the thing. The expansion team can look at it and say, we're not fucking getting Moses Mbai under any circumstances. Or they can go to him and say, Moses, we'll give you a minimum contract. And, of course, he's going to say, why would I do that when I've got this gigantic deal I'm already on? But it's just that's something I would look at if I was the NRL doing an expansion draft.
I think if they're smart, they would be looking at a regular draft every year. But it would have to only be with off-contract players who are willing to change clubs and, take up the option of playing at any club that's available. That's the only way it should work. It shouldn't be anything. I know, but I mean, that's the only way you're going to be able to do it in a legally satisfying manner, I guess, for the players. If you're going to try and force players to go to a club that they don't want to go to, or even if you're trying to force them to go to a state that they don't want to move to, you could get a bunch of players who go, I don't want to leave Sydney, but if they get drafted by the Broncos, stiff shit.
Yeah, but that's not what you're doing. With an expansion draft, that's not what you're doing.
No, I understand that. I'm not opposed to what you're saying. I'm talking about beyond that. I'm
Yeah, I
happy
wouldn't
to
go
have an
beyond that.
expansion draft, but I'm saying beyond an expansion draft, I'm
Yeah.
happy to have a yearly draft, but only for off-contract players who are willing to relocate,
Yeah, so
which
I
you
would
probably
want.
find plenty of players.
Yeah. I just think an expansion draft would be a good thing for all and sundry. I think it'd be interesting to see what happened with it.
Oh, of course.
Like if I think of the Panthers, you could put Dylan Edwards up in an expansion draft. And if they take Dylan Edwards, then you go and get Dane Laurie. You see where I'm going with this?
See, the problem with that, though, is that the West Tigers can't then sign Dylan Edwards.
Well, you have Matt Moylan. Come on.
He's not off contract till 2022. Well, that could work.
Yeah.
That's workable.
I'm trying to work things out for the West Tigers here as well.
That's the thing. The Tigers might go with someone that's, because they've already got 2 5/8s, they might go with Jack Bird and get Jack Bird and Matt Moylan instead of like a 2-way deal thing, and all of a sudden, our whole backline would be 5/8s.
That would be pretty cool.
It's a new version of Sheenius, where he's gone from having everyone who can play second row and centre, who can occasionally fill in at 6, having everyone who can play 6 and nowhere else. Think of that, 4 players everywhere. How can we not score points?
But where would you then fit in Kieran Foran at the end of next year?
He'll do us all a favour and retire before then, so we won't have to worry about that.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to the Curtis Scott era at the West Tigers.
Yeah, I'm surprised that one hasn't come back yet.
Just wait.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
We're not even into the signing period for the Tigers.
No.
We've got 2.5 months to go.
Yeah, they like to wait until everyone else is done. They like to say, right, let's have a look at the dregs. They're essentially like a homeless bum hanging around the bin outside the back of Macca's.
Pretty much.
Right, someone's going to throw out a meal here soon.
Pretty much. Oh man, it's so rough.
I'm just looking at the off-contract players, and the Tigers have got a lot of players signed till 2023.
The only player I'd want, seriously, if I was the expansion club, the only player I would want would be Dane Laurie. All the others they can keep.
This is the players they've got signed to 2023 or beyond. Sean Bloor, Luke Brooks, Adam Dewey, Gildart, Hastings, Reece Hoffman, Kepaoa, Dane Laurie, Jacob Little, Ken Malmelo, Zane Musgrove, David Nofaluma till 2025. Fuck my life. Tyrone Peachy. Joaquin Gower's got an option in his favour for 2023. Alex Seyfarth, Jake Simpkin, Tuki Simpkins, and Stefano Utokumanu.
I think often Gower will play for the Dolphins.
He probably will.
Yeah, I don't mind him as a player. I think he's a pretty handy, fringe starter.
He's been okay for the Tigers. He's defensively he's okay.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be all right. And then Nofaluma will go to Brisbane.
Imagine that.
Sick of watching him running off his wing and then watching the players go past him and scoring tries.
And then pouting. Every so often, just pouts.
Or complaining to his centre who's standing around going, where the fuck were you going, man? What do you want me to do? Tackle 4 players?
I just want to, just once, I want to see him and Crocker playing on the same side. I just think it'd be amazing.
The only way that's going to happen is if they both get picked for New South Wales.
Ugh. If I'm Canberra, Crocker's gone this off-season.
Oh, they won't do it to him.
No way. There is not one way they will ever do that. But if they were smart, they would say, look, this guy is not a first-grade defender. He misses kicks when it counts. He's injury-prone now to the point where we can't rely on having him for a lot of the season.
So long as they've got Curtis Scott there, Croker will always look better.
I think Scott's gone from the Raiders. I think they might have got rid of him.
Oh, they might have done. I did see the...
they parted ways with him. I'm almost certain.
Fox Sports came up with their list of the what they think will be the predicted best 17 for each team, and they come
I
up with
saw that.
they come up with one for the Raiders, and it's got CNK Nickel Clockstar at the in the centres, which is just
Really?
nonsense. Yeah, and the Raiders reply going, what month is it again? Oh yeah, that's right. They completely dismissed it. And
Yeah.
some News Limited journo come on going, oh, if I was a Raiders socials guy, I'd be very careful about treating them with this much contempt. It's like, fuck off, man.
They do. These fucking journalists think they hover above the rest of us, eh?
I know.
They
I'm going to
deserve
be honest.
all the contempt in the world. They're a bunch of shitheads.
I'm going to be honest. Whether you like the Raiders or not, check out their social media accounts because they get it. Their social media accounts are absolutely brilliant. They absolutely get how social media works. A lot of clubs just sit there and go, well, this happened. And they're just boring tweets. The Raiders get the way the social media works online. They've got good humour when they need to, good content. I really like the way they deal with things. And they're not afraid to call bullshit out when they see it.
Yeah. The rugby league content from the mainstream media has just been so bad. So bad. Like, who gives a, like, the fucking start, the best 17 from teams for next year? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers haven't even finished signing players yet.
Yeah, exactly. 7 of their players are, still just wrapping up their lower grade competitions.
Exactly. Or, they're still playing League One over in England.
Yeah.
Or some such shit. Who knows? They're somewhere. But it's ridiculous.
It really is.
I'm glad one of the teams called them out for it.
It's lucky that people have us, isn't it? Because, I mean, we're the new wave. We're taking over from these dumb fuck journalists.
Absolutely. We'll tell you straight. That's what you need to know. You need to know straight opinions, and you need to know good opinions.
Yeah, we will only force upon you the opinions that we believe are true.
Yes. Which are not Matthew John's ones.
No.
Did you see he had a new opinion during the week?
Yeah, I did. I didn't look too much into it because I didn't want to get infected by it.
Yeah, I didn't look into it either. I just saw Matthew John thinks, and I went, yeah, that's where that article ends.
Yeah, exactly.
Matthew Johns has an idea. I'm sure he does. Let me guess. It's another joke about Nathan Highmarsh not winning the premiership? Or is it one about him having a gambling addiction? Because that's a great thing to joke about.
Yes.
Let's joke about someone's professional vices and stuff like that.
Let's talk about what Brian Fletcher did on the weekend. Whoa.
Yeah. Fucking groundbreaking shit that is. but there we go. Little bit of a whinge there.
Well, it's a good way to finish the podcast. The first one we've done all week. We did have an episode set up for Wednesday. Had to reschedule that for the following Wednesday. So hopefully that goes through.
Oh, good. That means I don't have to do one this Wednesday. Because I will be absolutely buggered after work.
Well, when you get up at 10:30 like you do every day and you sit behind a desk in an air-conditioned room, you don't want to push it too hard.
Yeah. It's hard work, getting out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
You should see how far it takes me to walk from bed to my office.
I've heard it's meters.
Oh, man. Steady on. You went plural then.
So where can people find us on social media?
Yes. They can go to our Instagram and Twitter accounts at Fergo Freak Pod. Yep. They can find you at League Freak, and they can find me at Andrew RLP on Twitter. We're also got the podcast is also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, MySpace. Check us out on all of those. Please like and subscribe to the account over on YouTube. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you could. Also, make sure you go to your podcast listening app and give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review, which we will read out on the podcast, and we'll put it up on the website as well, Freaky.
Yeah, well, the website is fergoandthefreak.com. It's really easy to remember because it is the same name as the podcast you're listening to right now.
That's brilliant. Who thought of that?
Yeah. Well, it's called marketing, hey. I just discovered it. It was invented by Phil Gould.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. As I say, how many URLs out there have got Fergo and the Freak in them? And do you own them all yet?
No, just the one. I only own the one.
There's a task for other people. Go and buy all the other ones.
That's fucking terrible for our podcast. Shut the fuck up. That'd be like somebody buying salfordreddevils.co.uk and just fucking directing it to a section of this site.
I was going to say, that'll get your ass into gear to buy all the other ones.
Yeah. Like I can fucking afford it now. Swear to God.
Anytime keen to be going guns.
My Ponzi is going guns, actually. I'll tell you that after the podcast. But
I was going to say, if you bought an island for Channel 10.
Probably could afford it. The website addresses I own, they're always like a financial game of Russian roulette. So it's like, oh yeah, everything's going good. Bang, there goes fucking $20. Bang, there goes another $20. It's, oh no, everything's fine. Oh, there goes 40 fucking UK pounds. Yeah, it's like, jeez.
You're a burden to this let's call it a hobby, shall we?
Yeah.
Most people like to accumulate wealth. You just like to accumulate URLs.
URLs and high-end collectibles.
Obviously, you just plan to buy out all of the websites so that places like GoDaddy have got nothing left to do, and then you just take them over.
Pretty much.
And you just sell them all for profit.
Everything's for profit.
There you go. That's taking an odd walk down a different lane. I didn't expect to go down there.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Is that about it for this one?
Yeah, we're good.
I think we're good. Might need to edit some of that shit out.
I'm not editing any of this shit out.
Fair enough. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We don't apologise for the shit at the end there. That's what you listen to us for. We know that. Yeah. Thanks for listening to this episode. We'll have another one out very, very soon. So we'll catch you then. Fuck, man.